Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl, Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, where we give you the strategies, mindsets, and frameworks to building your very own six-figure and, dare I say, seven-figure coaching business. I'm your host, of course, the Road Dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the king of the Dolphins, the big shooter, number 22 in your program, Karl, Bryan.
You forget number one in your heart. You forget number 22 in your program. In your heart.
Yes. How dare I forget? But you know what? This is why you're here, as to complete it.
There you go. I did see a dolphin this morning. There you go. Out surfing, bud. Nearly got run over by a boat, but anyways, I won't talk about that. Oh my God, what's this guy doing? Going 100 miles an hour around a corner. But anyways, saw a dolphin, nearly got run over by a boat. Anyways, good day, mate. Good day.
So, you know, you mentioned just the pre-show. You're coming back to town. You're coming back to Canada. Do you still have the Sea-Doo? Are we going to do the, are we going to force me to put my hands around you as we go Sea-Dooing together? Is this what's happening? What's going on?
But ladies and gentlemen, and I regret your photo. Road Dog was on the back of my Sea-Doo. There you go. No shoots. No, sold the Sea-Doo, man, but I'll be in town for a month, man, but we'll go rent a couple Sea-Doo shoots. How's that sound?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, folks, there was not a hope in hell that I was going to put my arms around him. I was holding on to the side firmly as I possibly could, no matter how hard intentionally he was trying to.
You know it. My goal was to get you in that water chute.
Little did you forget my arm strength of holding onto those handles.
Yeah. Anyways, he's a strong man, ladies and gentlemen. It is official. Okay. I don't know how you didn't fall off that, but anyways.
All right. Listen, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before. You were talking about just sort of mistakes of the coaching industry and how you think that, what were you saying? You said one of the biggest mistakes of the coaching industry is certainty. And I wanted to circle back on this and kind of go, are there any other mistakes that you see out there? Like that you kind of like, you hear it a lot and you're like, oh boy, that is fake news. Is there anything out there that you think is another big mistake?
Buddy, dude, should I just leave it out? You'll ask no more questions. Podcast.
Yeah, true. Right? This is, by the way, folks, this is now going to be converted into an audiobook. It'll be a 5-hour listen, and that's enough to race as we go.
Yeah. I just tell you this. Actually, I got to do a shout out to Liam before I get going. He sent me an email, and it was a home run. And he said of everything that he's heard, his favorite was this, and you made me think of it with the surfing the water, dolphin, sharks, etc. But anyway, business is more like surfing at 6 a.m. by yourself, or business is a lot like surfing at 6 a.m. by yourself. No boundaries, no rules, no penalties, no umpires, but plenty of sharks. And I was like, oh my God, that's so good, Matt. Thank you for sending that. Anyway, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you agree with that, but that is the business coaching industry. Look, a mistake. I would start by going to the title of every single book in the industry, and the first would be, the secret. The secret is there is no secret. The 4-hour work week. The secret is there is no 4-hour work week. And at no time did Tim Ferriss kind of pretend that. It is a book on 80-20 and a really, really good one, but most people read the book, they buy the book, they read the cover, maybe the back cover, maybe the first chapter, and then assume that it's a book about a 4-hour work week. And that's not really what it's about. But anyway, so, I would just say this. Okay, so affirmations, and I've been guilty of this, by the way, but you've been told to use affirmations, right? Um, the problem is that you say to yourself, okay, just name the affirmation, but um, I am fit, toned, and healthy. Okay. And then what do? You say it over and over again with a lot of intensity in motion while you walk sternly, really, really believe it. Um, what's the problem with that? Your little reptilian brain steps in and says, no, you're not. Right. And like, think so solution, what's the antidote? What's the, you know what I mean? How do we turn that around? How do we solve it? Thinking is nothing more than asking and answering questions to yourself. So you want to direct your thinking through questions, right? So how do you close a client? Again, I've been teaching this for years and years and years, but you ask a series of questions, right? Do you have a business plan? They say no. Do you have a marketing plan? They say no. Do you have a marketing budget? They say no. Do you have a sales process? They say, what's that? I say, do you have joint ventures in place? They say, no, I don't. And explain what a joint venture is, right? And it's very difficult when I ask 50 questions and I get no, 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 no. What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? It's totally against the organic flow of the conversation. I don't know if that's worded very well, but you know what I mean? Like that, it goes against the flow of the conversation for them to say, "Oh no, I don't need any help." I'm like, "Are you sure? Were you listening to yourself?" But anyway, so naturally, that's the way you get a coaching client, right? So what are you doing? Thinking is nothing more than asking and answering questions to yourself. So by you asking them questions, what you're doing is leading their thought, right? It's a very powerful and a fantastic closing technique. If you're not doing that, there's a chance that you sit down with somebody and you have like a pleasurable conversation. Then say, hey, do you want me to coach you? Like, that's just not going to work. And it might work once in a while, but it is not duplicatable. And that is nothing that you could train somebody else on. Henceforth, scaling, growing would be incredibly complicated. Okay. So rather than using affirmations, questions can also, if done properly, I literally wrote this in the company Facebook page today, so timely. Like, questions can also trick your subconscious mind into kind of believing what you say, what you ask it, right? So again, problem of the industry is we're told to use affirmations, but the problem is we say something like, I have a 7-figure company, I have a 7-figure company, or I have this ripped, awesome, toned, healthy body. And the reptilian brain steps in and says, yeah, that's not happening. So the solution is, rather than use affirmations, you want to use questions. And by the way, ideally, complicate this possibly, but you want to do it in a hypnotic state, in the perfect dynamic. Okay. So when are you in a hypnotic state? And the answer to that is right when you wake up in the morning. Like when you wake up, but you're not quite, quote unquote, you haven't come to, you know what I mean? You haven't quite got your bearings. You're effectively in a hypnotic state. And you can also do this with meditating, right? So what do you do? How about you ask yourself these, like a question like, why do I systematically bring in 10 new clients per month? Right. And then ask that over and over again. Or why is my company doing $30,000 a month after month? Why is it so easy for me to make, keep, and multiply money? Why do I so easily get 10 new business owners to my profit acceleration workshops every week? While I change the landscape of the business for local business owners in XYZ city, though, and like, wherever you live, right? And you could have as many questions as you want, but I would encourage you to, create a little bit of a frame, like translation, use 3 questions as an example. What could those 3 questions be around? You know how I always say focus.com, I solve 3 big problems of the industry. Problem number 1 is lead generation. Problem number 2 is conversion of the client. And then problem number 3 is fulfillment of the coaching. All right. So what you could do is ask yourself a question around lead gen, ask yourself a question around conversion, ask yourself a question around fulfillment, and do it over and over and over and over again. Or again, you use more powerful questions than that, depending upon where you're at. Like, why is it so natural for me to be so calm and experience inner peace? right? I was like, but anyway, so there you go.
Well, hey, can I
Affirmations.
jump in here for a second, Carl, on that? Because,
Yeah.
like, why don't we dive in? Because I actually saw you post something like that, right, today. Let's go right into it. Give us some examples, some questions that, me, you, anyone should be asking ourselves first thing in the morning.
I gotta think. Let me log into the Facebook page. It's questions that might help. No, I don't know. Like, why is it so systematic for me to generate? Why is it so systematic for me to generate 25 hot new coaching prospects each month, month after month? Uh, why do I convert? Say you have a challenge with conversion, right? Why do I convert 50% of my prospects into high-end coaching clients so easily? Why is it so systematic for me to level up my clients and make them significantly more profitable almost immediately? Right. I don't know. And then, by the way, maybe so these are around business. And again, you want to have the goal is a great life, not a great business. A great business can lead to a great life for sure. But I'll introduce you to 10 people with what you would describe as great businesses, and they might tell you that they're not having a great life. So let's make sure. So, like personal questions. Um, what did I say earlier? Why do I have the fit, toned, healthy body of an athlete? Why do I have such an amazing relationship with my wife? Why do I have such amazing relationship with my husband? Why do I have such amazing relationship with my kids? Or why do I no longer need sugar in my diet and have zero cravings? And by the way, you do this one day. This is not miracle work, right? This is something you got to doubt. You got to immerse yourself. You've got to do this for a week, a month, really, let's say 90 days. And I think you'd be well and truly there. And by the way, maybe your goal is wealth, it's freedom. And by the way, I can almost guarantee your goal is freedom. Just the thing is that you define it differently than Road Dogg and myself. And so, one of your clients. But why? Well, keeping. Why is it so easy for me to make, keep, and multiply money? Why does my net worth keep doubling? Why do I manage to experience so much calm inner peace in and around money? Let's face it, most people don't do that. So the bottom line, if I repeated, like initially, what I would do is create 3 questions. Why? Because you're going to be half asleep. Okay, so you might not be able to remember them, and I believe the trick is for me, and I did this morning, right? Um, by doing it, like doing the same question over and over again. So I get 3 questions, and I would say that I would do them. I'm not sitting there counting, but I would do 3 questions 10 times in a row. So I ask myself 30 questions, 10 in a row, 10 in a row, 10 in a row. Anyway, so Shoots, I don't know. What do you think? Is that but at the end of the day, what's the problem that you're looking to solve? If you have a sales problem, if you have a lead generation problem, I'd be creating a very powerful question around lead generation. If it's easy for you to get in front of prospects, but you suck at the conversion, I'd be creating a question around conversion of why it's so easy for you to convert at a 50% rate. If your challenge is fulfillment and the coaching, guess what? I'd be asking a question in and around that. And by the way, high tide makes all boats go higher, lifts all but what is high tide lifts all boats, I think it goes. But anyway, so your inner, like I can tell you, the more calm that you are, the more inner peace that you feel. You might define it as happiness. I think that you're going to find needing nothing attracts everything, right? Say it all the time. You can get lucky and make it. You can't get lucky and keep it. By calming, you know what I mean? By adopting a sense of calm into your business, adopting a sense of calm in and around the office, in and around lead generation, conversion, fulfillment, your live events, etc. I do believe that's the way that you lift all boats. I think all areas of your life become better: the lead gen, the conversion, the fulfillment, the relationship with your wife and husband, your kids, etc. So anyway, Sheets, what do you think? That's my answer.
Yeah, you know what? The immediate thing that comes to mind is it's funny because there's normal human behavior. It's like, oh, why do I suck at lead gen? Why can't I just get clients every month? Like, well,
Yes. Yes, thank you for saying that, Road Dog. That's what most people default to, right? And maybe again, we said this on the podcast. Actually, might have been one of the ones I did on my own, but it's like the words that you say after I am. Like I've got a buddy who wrote a really good book. It's called like I Am. Don Smith is his name. I am the words that you say, and I think Wayne Dyer is pretty famous for saying this, but the words that you say after I am are so important. I am disorganized. I am inefficient. I am broke. I am tired. I am busy. Be very, very careful what you say after I am. I would dare say that is like a hypnotic thing, Shoots. Thank you for saying that.
Well, while we're on hypnotic states, let's just dive into the hypnotic mind, the Zen mind of Karl Bryan.
The Zen. You know what? I've got something to say, Shoots, that I think someone said. And this one, by the way, this is going to go out to the high achievers, right? Like the strivers listening, which is you, because that's who listens to us. Otherwise, I don't think they would be bothered. I don't think they're coming here for knitting. Um, but anyway, so I watched the video, and it reminded me of, so I do a post every, I don't know, every, but the last number of Christmases on Facebook. And it's like the greatest present you can give those who love you is your presence, right? So be present. And notwithstanding what happens at Christmas time, it's like, oh my gosh, Christmas time, it goes by so damn fast, right? And all of a sudden it's New Year's Eve. Well, the only way, or the best way to slow down time is to be present, right? So again, be present. Uh, but the reality of life, or the reality of your life, is what am I trying to say? It's always right now. It's always in the present. It's always this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment, right? And the problem, and I mean, suffer from this wildly. So when I listened to it, I was like, oh my God. But the problem is we spend most of our lives fighting and challenging this truth of this moment, right? Because what are we doing? We're thinking about the past and we're thinking about the future. And by doing that, what are we doing? We're denying the now, the present, this moment. And that, in the end of the day, that's all we really have. And by the way, the nightmare of it, like we fight it, we challenge it, and then we succeed. You know what I mean? Like, so we succeed. And the thing that I think you would dare say, if you agree with me, it's like the greatest gift, which is the present. So I don't know. I think many people go through life and never really connect with the present moment of right now. That is why people do drugs. That is why people drink alcohol. That's why they play video games, right? They're hiding from it. And again, we're constantly striving. What's the problem? Like, what's the challenge? And I see it, and again, I've suffered from this wildly. That we're constantly striving to become, right? We're striving to become happy, to become successful, to achieve that next goal, that next milestone, fill that next event, get that next client. And what's that goal? That might be 10 grand a month for you. That might be to sign the client. When I finally sign that client, I'm finally going to feel good about myself. I'm finally going to experience happiness. I can finally get a little bit of calm, a little bit of inner peace. And maybe it's 30 grand a month, and maybe it's $83,333 a month. Translation, $1 million. Maybe it's to get your 8th client, it's the 12th client, it's to fill the event, it's to get the JV completed with the accountant. Your clients, what they are looking at I don't need to meet them to know that they're trying to get to $1 million of gross revenues. And remember, before you think, oh, isn't it 5 million? Isn't it 10 million? Remember, 96% of businesses do not get to $1 million in gross revenue. So if you give me a room of 10 people, 9 of them are not there. If you give me a room of 100 people, 96 of them are not at $1 million. So I don't know. I think that this is possibly the most important thing anybody could learn, could understand, could live with and grasp about the mind. Assuming, of course, your goal is happy, right? Somebody's listening and they're totally blissful and they're totally living a constant state of joy. Call me. I'd like to interview. I'd like to talk about it, how the hell you do it. But you know what I mean? Like this is for the one that's, striving and always pushing. Because the reality is just, again, you've got now and you've got now and you've got now, as in this moment, right? It's like your past is a memory. It's just a thought, right? Your future, good or bad, is just a thought, right? So you got this present moment. So I'm going to recommend that you cherish it. When I thought about that shoots, I thought this is going to be freaking amazing. I thought how amazing that was, but I don't know. There's the past. It's gone. It's a memory, but again, it's a thought, right? The future, the client, the event, the bank balance, the annual revenues, the blah, 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 blah. It's just a thought. All you've got is right now, like this present moment. So I thought that was cool. What do you think?
I think I'm about to make you live this present moment, and I'm going to challenge you to rapid fire questions. I'm only going to give you a couple of them, only maybe 4 or 5. And then I want you to answer these in 2 words or less. Folks,
Shoots.
this is
he's talking to?
Karl's biggest challenge coming right here.
Okay,
You
2
ready?
words. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, is that are you cutting out there, big fella? What's happening here?
I'm cutting out.
No, you're good. Okay. All right. That was my imagination. Perhaps I'm just mentally preparing myself that these answers are going to be so short that you're going to be cutting out. Okay. You
Let's
ready?
do it. Yeah.
How long to create a positive state of mind versus a negative state of mind?
Oh, shoots. 1 moment. Boom.
Okay. How long to create a new mindset?
So I know what you're doing. Okay, one day.
How long to create a new habit?
Sorry, I missed that. What is it?
How long to create a new habit?
21 days.
Robin Sharma would disagree. How long to create a new skill like sales or coaching?
90 days. Hang on, case. So 90 days, right? But if you want to, I just said eliminate. You got to. I got to. Let me just expand on that. Okay. If you want to get good at coaching, yes, you can do it in 90 days, but you've got to immerse yourself, right? Like if I wanted to learn how to speak French, what would I do? I could go to a class every week and get taught for an hour. And it's a little bit like, sitting on the couch eating French fries. Like I'm not going to get very far, right? What I need to do is drop myself in Paris and go and order dinner and buy a shirt and order lunch and speak to people and try to have conversations and not have you know what I mean? Like maybe I'd have a book in my pocket to translate, or I guess today you just have your phone. But you know what I mean? Like you got to immerse yourself. Like, when you're working with clients, like don't teach people that the world isn't dangerous, right? Or don't try to, your clients, right? It's not dangerous because that's not true. You got to teach them and coach them that they are stronger than they think, right? Because again, learning French, dropping you in Paris, that to the average bear would be insanely intimidating, right? Like there was a time I could have never dreamt of developing the habit of doing a daily email, right? Like once a week would have been like a bit of a stretch, but through blind emotional charge. And if you read my daily emails, hopefully you know what emotional charge is, but that's like, that burning desire, that girlfriend who dumped you in high school, the wife, the husband who, left, you know what I mean? Is a blah, 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 that emotional charge of like, I'm going to help, I'm going to do it. Like, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, right? Like if you know the full story behind that, probably wouldn't surprise you what the blind charge is, but a daughter was killed by a drunk driver. And mom said, this is nuts and this is not going to happen. And I'm going to put an end to it. And she had no business background, no marketing prowess whatsoever. and she created MAD. And I would imagine as I say that, MAD, it's got 2 Ds, again, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That is emotional charge. That's, you want to fill your local live event, bring emotional charge to the relationship, and bingo, bango, bongo, it's going to happen. But again, like I could have never written a daily email. Like that just was beyond what I thought could be conceivable for me. And I don't even know where I'm at, but I'm at least, I don't know, I'm going to say 1,500. I might be well above, I don't know, I'm at 1,500 plus, right? And like, it makes me think of like a friend of mine, right? Like he doesn't drive. It's like, I don't get my stepmom, same thing. Like she didn't drive. And truthfully, it's like 99% weakness. Imagine how much better their lives would be if they drove, right? But again, it was scary, right? So that the greatest pain is where the greatest gain lies, right? It's often the guy that, won't cold call that needs to cold call. It's the guy that won't go to the gym that needs to go to the gym. It's the guy that can't meditate that needs to meditate. It's a guy that can't sell. Again, he's got to get into the sales training. He's got to put himself in awkward positions, and he's just got to have a bloody go. Um, it's the I always say, like, it's like Road Dog, you and I are the guys who go to Tony Robbins, and not that we're special in any way, shape, or form, not saying that, but at the end of the day, we understand business, we understand personal development. Obviously, we talk about it every week. It's the guy or gal sitting on the couch eating potato chips that needs to go more than anybody. Another example, I know I used to talk about, my daughter, when we lived in Canada, I used to take her out sea doing, and we go to them, and part of this, she always wanted to go sea doing, and I'm saying, awesome, but I also want to be able to teach her cool life lessons. So one of the deals is that we'd go to the middle of the lake, and she would have to jump in. Right? And it is bloody cold. Let me tell you, the middle of that lake. Well, and she was, 6, 8 years old. And she'd be like, she'd be crying and she'd be begging me. She said, baby, or daddy, I'll do it twice next time. Just please, please, please. Can we go in? Can we go in? And I'm like, sorry, baby. And and again, I'd jump, you know what I mean? It's cold for me too, but I jumped in. And I'm like, until you jump in, I'm hanging out like you're doing this. And guess what? She jumps in, right? So again, translation, I'm trying to train her to do hard things. Like hard becomes routine, disorganized becomes organized, impossible becomes possible, and unclear becomes clear. How do you get there? By doing hard things. That's how I got to 1,500 daily emails. And notwithstanding, we've done hundreds of podcasts, right? You can change everything in a reasonable period of time. I'm going to say a short period of time with a little bit of guts, a little bit of leadership. But it needs to be first you and then them. Remember, you can't transfer that which you don't own, right? Like if you don't believe in your product, you're not going to be able to transfer that belief. If you don't legitimately believe in the operating system, that it can work and that the math can work and the magic can work of, what we call the Jumpstart 12 with my software, you're not going to be able to translate that. You're not going to be able to transfer that belief. It's like often, Road Dog, as like when we get a lot of feedback, it's often people will tell us the most impactful things that they've learned. A lot of the time it talks about, the accounting stuff and the small business stuff. And, truthfully, I'm a sales and marketing guy, right? Like when I started learning accounting and small business finance, quite frankly, it was humbling, right? Like I was a total idiot in the area. And years later, like I co-wrote a book on, accounting. I teach a 4-day training on how to read financial statements and find your high-end consulting fees prior to starting with your new high-end client. And I know it pretty well. And I have dozens and dozens of accountants as clients, and I can tell you that I can comfortably go, head to head, speaking to them about numbers and the importance of it. So anyways, yeah, shoots. I get off on a little bit of a tangent, but learning coaching, look, you can do it in 90 days, but I don't want to pretend like, oh, okay, it's not that 90 days can just pass. You know what I mean? Like you need to immerse yourself the same way that I would drop you into Paris to learn French. You got to drop yourself in front of some clients. Like a lot of people shoots, we say, oh, you can't coach for free. You can't coach for free. You just teach them to, it's like Tom Brady threw the football for free before he started getting paid. right? I don't care if you do it for free, if you do it for a little, or you do it for a lot. What you got to do is be bloody amazing at it. And how do you get bloody amazing at it? Look, you've heard me say this time and time again, that the biggest things are built by the smartest people. You can talk about the school of hard knocks all you want, and I come from the school of hard knocks, to be clear. But the reality is, if you look at a Zuckerberg, you look at a Bezos, you look at a Gates, you look at a Steve Jobs, a Michael Dell. I mean, these are incredibly intelligent people. And that doesn't mean that they've got master's degrees from Harvard. That's not intelligence, although it's part of it. You're not going to get accepted to Harvard if you're not a brilliant student and know how to learn and have a, very high IQ and have a level of competence around learning that is not bloody impressive, right? But so what you got to do is, if you're going to learn how to get good at coaching, and I say you can do it in 90 days, you've got to accept that, hard's going to need to become routine. Disorganized is going to need to become organized. It's like, chaos theory. You first need, chaos before order. A good way of explaining that is making your bed. In order to make your bed properly, you've got to rip off the sheets, right? You don't just fluff the pillow. That's not how you make a bed properly. You got to rip the sheets off. You got to take them to the washing machine. You need to wash them. You need to dry them. You need to get them back upstairs or back into the room and put them back on the bed. So without the chaos, there is no order. If you're not good at coaching, you are not going to do it in an orderly way. There will be a little bit of chaos. There will be some learning. There'll be some late nights. There'll be some study. There'll be some sweat falling off the brow, and that you're really knackered and this stuff is confusing and you're a little bit lost and you're a little bit overwhelmed and you're not sure if you can do it. It'll be a roller coaster. It'll be an up and down kind of dynamic. But remember, nobody waits in line for a flat roller coaster. Like, that's the journey. That's the excitement of it. So pretending that it's easy, it's like pretending that it's easy is the wrong approach. The world is a dangerous place, and that's okay. What do? You go into the jungle and bloody do it. But at the other side, once order comes, you can be a fantastic coach. So yes, 90 days, but I'm not talking about 90 days passing. I'm talking about 90 days of chaos to order. How'd I do, Shoots? That's my answer. There you go.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you've been saying this for, I don't even know how many episodes, right? Like that the immersion, you gotta go, you've been saying you gotta go all in, and that's just it. Like, okay, what do those 90 days look like? Like, what were you doing in those 90 days? Were you doing it for 2 hours a day? Were you, I heard Hermosi say, I saw it on TikTok yesterday. It's like, you got to spend 4 hours a day marketing yourself because no one's heard of you. And if you're not doing that, no one's going to hear of you. You're very forgettable. So what are you doing to get yourself out there?
Yeah. And that's the jungle, right? And you're going to put up a video and you're going to feel like a dill because nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to comment on it. Nobody's going to share it. But go to Hormozzi's first 50 videos and guess what you're going to find? A bunch of videos that nobody liked, nobody commented on, and nobody shared, right? But he didn't let it stop him. You know what I mean? He just kept going. He got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Remember, you get 1% better every day for 365 days, and you 37x your talents. If you I don't care how bad you are at anything. If you 37x your talents, you're going to be unreal at it. And then if you do it for another 12 months, my heavens. But it's
different than Mr.
It's like the jungle. What's that?
Yep. It's no different than Mr. Beast, right? Like how long it take him, and now he's unbelievable. But think of it this way. Here's two thoughts that I have, right? My first thought is there's so many things out there that tell you when to post. You can see what's trending. You can see what's going viral. You can see what's resonating with people. You can see the style of video, the type of production, the type of post to put up. Like there's always new things that people are doing, and just know who those leaders are, right? If you want to get good at video, you're probably following Mr. Beast and what he's doing, because there's no one bigger on the planet on video than Mr. Beast, right? But that said, if you don't know your audience, then it all doesn't matter. Like, know the pain points of your prospects. Talk about that. Just go in and talk about that, because that'll resonate. And then just figure out how to do it in a more exciting format. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
What did Mr. Beast, like early on, what did he do? He put like tomato juice in a bathtub, filled it up, right? Cans and cans and cans of tomatoes. And he laid in it for like 3 days and didn't move. And people watched him. Like, that's where the guy started. The world. Like, who does that? And how ridiculous. That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard, man. But apparently it's working out pretty well. Oh my
No, and this is it. You continue, you put in the reps, you get more clear in terms of what people want to hear and talk about. It's no different than the podcast, your daily email, all of it. You know what works for you, you know what works for your clients, you know from the feedback that you're getting, you refine. But the biggest mistake you can do is just do it 1 or 2 times, wonder why you didn't go viral, and quit. So there you go.
What did Dan Kennedy says? Number one is the worst number in business. Like it's you do one video, you do one podcast, you do one X, one event, one this, one that. You never do. You got to like shoots, like, I've done a daily email again, like 1,500 plus of them. When I go back and read the first few, like it's nothing short of embarrassing, right? Like I had no framework, but I just, I just got started. And I think I initially planned to do it for 10 days. I was going to do it every day for 10 days. And then 10 became 30 and 30 became 60 and 60 became 90. And then I just kept going and going. And I've got my mojo. In fact, like literally, so this morning, and I type every one of those suckers, as you know, right? Like I do the joke, I do I do everything, right? Was I going to say? Oh, I created a bit about I created the framework. This morning. No. Getting the email out this morning, I didn't do it, and I woke up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do a bloody daily email. I forgot, blah, 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 blah. But I set it. What did I do? I set a timer. I actually put this on, again, our company Facebook page last night where, there's just different laws like Murphy's Law, etc. And it's like the time you allot to a task is the amount of time you will take to, do said task, right? Well, I set a timer for 10 minutes. And guess what? I got that bad boy done in 10 minutes. And the reason I'm able to do it in 10 minutes is because I've done it, again, 1,500 times in a row. But I have if you read the email, no doubt you understand, I've got a framework, where I start with blah, blah yesterday. And then I go speaking of, and then I do the daily joke. And then I go, another news from, this podcast. And then I go anywho, and then I go your one profit acceleration thing, blah, 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 blah. And then PS, right? There's a framework. Anybody wants to steal it, I just gave it to you. There's the framework. But all you got to do is read one of the emails and you'll see it. So it's rather easy because I'm not making it up as I go. I've got a framework. Anyways, so there you go. So just bloody get started. Don't do it once. Don't do it twice. Don't do it 3 times. Just keep
It's
doing
so funny. You think of frameworks. I just think of one of my mentors for his daily podcast that he used to do. And it was what, why, lesson, apply, right? Like that was his framework. What's the topic? Why is it significant? What's the lesson that's learned from it, and how to apply it to yourself and to your clients? Like, it's just, it's so funny how that works. But
yeah.
All right.
If you listen to the first few, I bet that's something that he, over time it evolved. And what was it? What, why, lesson, apply?
Yeah.
That's good. I like it. So, you know what I mean? Like that, I would be amazed if he started there, right? Like it was something that evolved over time.
No, dude, we all start as a complete mess, as we all know.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Chaos, brother. Chaos. That's it.
And that's the other one of the biggest lessons that I actually learned early. And this is, I don't know what you think of this, Shoots, but I love the fact that people are like, well, you want to work with the more experienced coach, maybe, whatever. Or I don't know what to charge, or why would anyone work with me? How about you flip that and go, because I'm going to be the dang best business coach there is. And these people get the benefits of watching me learn and just build out my frameworks, and they get to experience it early. Because when I take a look at some of the people that I've worked with that are now huge in their respective rights, I worked with them early. And how cool is that? Like I look back at it and go, man, I worked with Garrett over at Wake Up Warrior when he was still just figuring it all out. And to me, it's not like I didn't get the finished shiny product that he has now. I got to be a part of the process, and that's cool. And you know what? Your clients can have that same mentality and attitude of they helped you build that business that you're currently building. So just go out and build it. That's my thought.
I love it. See, it's a different frame. Like just that's mindset. Do you know what I mean? Like that. It's just a different way of looking at the exact same things. You can see it as a problem, or you can see it as an opportunity, and you're just framing a problem as an opportunity. Like, I don't know what it's like. You're like, yeah, but that's the joy of it. That's the chaos. That's the magic. That's the danger. That's the jungle, right? Just immerse yourself wholly.
And we've circled back to the questions you need to ask yourself in the morning. Reframe them as a
That is it.
of why it comes so naturally and easily.
Yeah. So like if you say I want or need, you're creating lack, right? So again, those affirmation, that's not so much going to come into the affirmation, but if you frame things as you want them or need them, you're automatically creating lack. You got to frame them as they're already done, right? Why is it so easy for me to get 5 new coaching clients a month? Or why is it so easy for me to get 15 coaching clients each month? Why is it so easy for me to get 10 attendees to my workshop every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m.? You frame it as though it's done. And I'm telling you, you do it, you come up with 3 questions, you say them 10 times each before you fully come to, I don't know, it's not magic. And by the way, Shoots, but very, very important, okay? If you don't, you really, and this is, I'm going to get a little, not zen, a little bit like you got to believe it. You know what I mean? Like you got to believe it. And if you don't have your first coaching client yet, and then you're going to put something out there as done that's multiple 7 figures, although I love the jam and I love the moxie of creating such a monstrous goal that I absolutely think you should work up to, I don't, you know what I mean? I think you have to be able to believe it. And if you don't, and you will know this instinctively. Either you believe it or you don't. And if you don't, then I believe that you've got to water down the question that you're asking yourself and allow yourself to, evolve with your questions as you go along. And that's not to say you shouldn't have monstrous goals. I'm not giving you, that's not what I'm saying. But they do need to be something within the realm of, like, if you believe it, then perfect. But if you don't genuinely believe it, then this exercise is not going to work the way that it's designed to work. But I can tell you that this does work. This will work for you, for your clients, etc. It's very, very powerful. So get on it.
Well, Scoots, there it is. Why is it so easy for you to close out the podcast? Why is it so easy, Karl? Oh, right. Because I've done it over 350 times. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, everybody. And if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want more information on how to build, grow, scale your coaching company, visit focused.com. Subscribe today. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and subscribe, and also share with a fellow business coach or another coach of any kind, because, hey, we're trying to make our impact as much as we can again. And while you're at it, feel free to leave us a review. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the show. And that is it for another week. We will see you in the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.